Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast for those in the know. Batman vs. Iron Man, how would it go? We talking one of a kind, collectibles. Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't rapping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening. But damn it, man, don't you be stressing. Round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made. But I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Is up, Toy Fam? You have made it to another episode of the Figure Booth, here where we talk about the ups and downs of being a modern day collector. We go over pre-orders, we go over our plastic confessions, and from time to time we do interviews with those in the toy community. I'm your host, Josh, aka Prime to the First, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host, Nate.
Hey guys, this is FigureFan_Nate, and you've reached episode 67, which we're calling the Six Pack.
We should have just done with shirts off. And we can show off our six packs.
You can show off your six pack. I don't have a six pack, so I'm working maybe on like a two.
I got is the six beer pack.
Yeah,
no
right.
6-pack. Not that type of workout. We're not talking about that type of.
Yeah, we're not talking.
So you guys
about
can
workout. Relax. This is still toy related. Everybody, don't worry.
Yeah, still toy.
But
so what do we have on?
Yeah, that name may give you a hint on who it could be. Huge name in the community. You can't go to a live stream without either seeing him in a chat or, maybe he's a guest on there. He's very or he's starting generous beef with his time.
He's starting shit with people. Like sometimes he starts fights and he solves them. He settles the beef. He starts them sometimes. He's all over the place. You can't go anywhere without seeing this guy somewhere.
Yeah, and since you're here, Prime, there's going to be more beef that we're going to have to settle here. But huge name in the toy community. Let's go ahead and bring him on and introduce who he is.
We're talking one of a kind collectibles. Toys are respectable.
Yes.
Oh, hey, hi.
He's in the zone. Welcome
What's
to the
up,
booth,
man. I love that song. The best
Thank you for that
intro song on YouTube, man. It's fantastic. I know you got to change
that means
it.
A hell of a lot.
That's it. Interview's done. That's it. I'm out of here.
I love that thing.
No, we're gonna keep the lyrics. We just need the melody to be different.
Right. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's great. Love you guys. Great show. Thank you,
Trevor.
Me. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
we are
1-6 shooter,
happy, man.
Yeah, big. You've been a long time toy photographer. You're a guy that I originally discovered, amongst The Amazing a long time ago on Instagram, and you're one of my huge inspirations for getting into the hobby. On top of other things, you encouraging me to buy more and more figures, which we'll get into. But yeah, just very happy to have you on, Trevor. You're an awesome guy.
Oh, thanks, man. It's great to be here. I love this show. You guys are great interviewers. Your subjects, you guys were talking about it on Sunday that you try to do something different, and it totally is. It's like, it's great, man. Like you said, everybody kind of does like hey, here's what's out, and you guys do that on Mondays and stuff. But I really like your subjects on Sunday, on the Sunday shows, man. It's really good. Look forward to it every week, for sure.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that means a lot, man. I know.
Does that make up for not remembering your name on my show the other day?
Yes, that does make up for it. That's it. Beef is over. I feel you gave me my heart grew like twice the size. You almost had like this Grinch effect on me. So yeah, we're good. I'm all cuddly inside.
All right, cool.
Soft and cuddly feeling. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah. You get squashing the beef quickly there. That doesn't usually happen with Prime. It usually stays for a long time.
It doesn't.
I'm sure we'll have more, but before the show's over.
Yeah, we'll have more. We'll probably come up with a couple issues that we want to agree on, but that's the fun part. I've been a long-time stalker. First time us talking. I used to jump on a lot of your IG lives that you would have, like with Walter with Tom, and I'd just be creeping in the comments because there'd be a ton of people, or the comments would be going crazy, and you guys would be just ignoring all of us because
pretty much,
because
we're open toys and having fun.
Yeah, no, and it was so cool. Just the pics that you guys take, and just I think providing the insight. And really, I feel like that's where a lot of the toy community used to really take place. It was just a lot of IG lives where two collectors would just get together and jump on and either show what their display is looking like, or a shot that we're setting up. And I think a lot of times you guys were just talking about specific shots, or it wasn't necessarily like, oh, look at my display case and how it's being shown off. It was usually just like a particular shot or a technique. And man, I used to love that, because you could just set it up, and then I could either be working on a shot too, or seeing how you worked on a previous shot. It was just, to me, it provided a lot of insight, and it's awesome to see that progression where now you get to have it in a different format where it's on YouTube now, and it's consistent. So I'm expecting more from you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. I want to get the thing about I probably should do that live again, because it was pretty cool, and I have been thinking about that in terms of like memberships, which were I want to do something for memberships that's worthwhile for people. So
right.
Lives might be a good way to do it. It's the editing. I do these shooting reviews and sometimes behind the scenes, and people love them, but there's so much work to just shoot the B-roll and shoot, and
I can
edit
imagine
it all. And then most of the time, like my voiceover that I'm doing live sounds terrible, so I go and re-record it all. So it's like this YouTube game, you guys were talking about it on Sunday, like it's a slog, man. There's a lot to it. I mean, even just doing some lives and getting a subject, like you said, and getting guests lined up and making it happen. It's a lot of work, man. I know D Amazing Darius has been doing it for a long time, and he says all the time that he's, has a hard time keeping up. And I see why, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's a tough game.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's obviously we want more content from people, like, hey, why aren't you making more videos? Why aren't you making more videos? And then you start to do it yourself, and you realize, like, man, there's just so much that goes on behind the scenes, not only talking about the editing and all of that and the prep work, but trying to think of new and creative ideas, and who am I going to have on? What are the things we're going to talk about? How are we going to make this different than something else that's out there to bring people to you? But like to your point, there is a lot that goes into it. And for anybody that's listening, if you're not aware, Trevor has his own YouTube channel, 1/6 Shooter on YouTube, where he does a lot of his own content. He's got Legions Lounge, which he's a part of, which is a Mythic Legions focused podcast. You guys kind of talk about all things Legions, have a lot of different guests on. I loved the Road to Legions Con, just being a guest going into that. I was like, man, these are people that either I didn't know much about, or I've seen names, didn't really know what they did. That was super informative. Like that. But you also do, like we're talking about, you do shooting reviews where you go into depth with a shot and really just breaking it down into all the little details, what you did. And then something that was similar to what you did on Instagram is you have the toy photographer roundtables. I really loved when you did that.
I need to get back to that, because people love that, and I need to get you on that. And it is
amazing.
It is right there every time I'm, I don't want to get graphic, but every time I'm in the shower, I'm like, I got so many people I know that I want, and I'm like thinking of the subjects that I'm gonna connect them with, and like I just got to do it. You know what I mean? It's like this, like we're pre-recording this, and that's the way I usually do that. I don't do that live, and it's just, again, it's a matter of getting people to be able to do it on the same day at the same time, like 3 people plus myself, and spend an hour and a half doing it. So, it's tricky. So, but I do need to get back to it, because people love that, and I love doing it. It was fantastic. Yeah.
And it was so crazy, because I've seen most of those, and I always end up going back, and I'm like, damn, he hasn't done another one. I'm like, fuck.
There's only 2
with Trevor.
it's been like a year and a half.
I've watched those 2 like
it's coming
so many times. I've seen those 2, where I'm like, oh, again, he did another one. I'm like, oh, I already watched this one. But I remember before Nate and I started doing this, and even batching the idea, those are the type of like shows and conversations that would really attract and really get my attention, because I would love to play that in the background while either I'm fixing my display case, or trying to figure out what's the next figure I want to buy, or even setting up a shot when I really used to be in toy photography and trying to, just make a cinematic scene. I used to just love hearing those conversations between photographers and collectors. And I was like, man, I want to do a podcast. And it's difficult to just take it on by yourself. You got to find like the right type of individual that has the right mindset. Birds of a feather flock together. And I think Nate and we hit it off, where I was like, dude, we have to do something, because we just, I think we're we won't provide enough value to the community if we don't make it happen. And if no one shows up, that's okay, because the conversations we're having in our DMs, I'm like, this is going to be hilarious because people are going to get a kick out of this. And yeah, we just brought it to fruition and shed some light on it. But I think those are a lot of the conversations that collectors can resonate with, where they're like, hey, I talked about that same type of stuff with my friends. And it's crazy that we consider those people on IG our friends versus like our regular people that we see on a day-to-day basis.
It's amazing. I mean, Nate, you went to Legions Con and there's so many people on there that, I mean, I'm not trying, like, because I'm involved with it, they know me and I know them by their IG name, and you have to know everybody by 2 names now. There you go, there.
Yeah.
You have to know everybody by 2 names now, and it's hard to keep track of people, man. And when you're kind of, somewhere in that community that people know you, it gets really it's difficult to keep track of people like that, man. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna say last year I went to DesignerCon and met the Enablers. That was the first time all 4 of us ever met. But nobody was calling me by my first name. Everyone was calling me Prime. And I get to
of course,
you get in this state of mind where you're like, yeah, that's what I respond to. And then like I met Wade. Yeah. I met Wade for the first time, but we've talked for like, I've known him through IG for like 4 or 5 years. And and right off the bat, he's like, fucking Prime. Like we saw face to face and he was already cursing me out. It was just like, we were good friends.
That sounds
and I told him, I'm like, I'm going to give you a hug. And he's like, you do that, I'm going to punch you. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So I gave him a hug.
That sounds like Wade too. Yeah.
just tell me you love him.
He'll
love that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that day that I can meet Wade.
But I mean, you bring a good point with Legions Con, just the toy community in general. It's just, there's so much camaraderie there. And, the positivity was just flowing that weekend. I didn't expect to meet as many people as I did when I was there. I knew I was going to meet some of you like you and Nate and some others, but I didn't realize the amount of people that were going to be there. And it's just one of those interactions, one of those weekends that you just look back on. You're like, man, I wish I could do that every weekend, have that kind of hangout, because those are the only people I can really talk to about the hobby at the level that I want to talk about. Obviously I've got Prime and some other people that I talk to on Instagram, but just being in a room with similar minded people and everybody's just part of the conversation. Everybody's excited and it's just a great time. I mean, I've been to STCC a few times. I've been to some other cons, but Legions Con's one of the most, I would say, I don't know what the best word is, intimate, I guess, just from being able to hang out with other people and just, doing that part of it rather than cruising the floor and looking at products and things like that. I did that.
Was it like?
There's plenty of that to be had.
I'm just saying, DesignerCon,
throwing
at the Enabler House, man, we had beers flowing everywhere, and then everyone's opening up figures. I was like, oh my god, it's like this. Like,
well, I was gonna say, like, doing that every weekend, Nate, would be bad for my liver. But
that's true. That's true.
But other than that, I mean, I mean, to just talk about that for a minute, it's an interest. That community, now that you're in it, like it's very tight knit, but inclusive. Like anybody who comes into a new is welcome with open arms, and everybody kind of knows each other, at least online. And it's just a great community. I mean, we were hanging out in that lobby of a hotel. Like everybody was. I mean, there was a cart full of booze every night, you know what I mean? And everybody was respectful. Nobody got out of control. Not that that's the main thing, but it's just like, it's just a great community, but it's centered around one product line, which except for like maybe Masters of the Universe, and I know there's Joe Con, what is it called? Joe Fest. There's not a lot of that, you know what I mean? Joe Fest has gotten bigger, and the people who go there I know tell me it's kind of like not the same. And who knows, maybe this will grow to that point at some point too. But I mean, you get the makers of the product there, and they're handing you toys that you're buying from them, man. It's pretty cool. It's a really cool experience.
Yeah, sure. You're right on the money with that, because I saw a lot of the designers just kind of walking the line. At one point, Jeremy Gerard was like, "Hey, who wants an exclusive? I got a box here. I'm just going to sell them to you." He just started selling figures out of the box, and they're open to conversation. They want to talk about the toys. They like hearing feedback. And you just don't get that at a lot of other conventions. I could walk up to a vendor that's selling me product, but it's not a designer or somebody that's a key member of that team. It's just somebody that's really just selling the product. So yeah, it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
But yeah, and I just want to, give you kudos as well, because not only, were you awesome at the con, but you're always in everybody's live streams. It's rare that I'll be in a live stream and I don't see your name pop up. So you're always very supportive of the community. And I know you have a lot on your plate with everything that's going on top of, what you do with Legions and your own podcast and doing toy photography. But being able to do that and be in those lives, I think is huge, just to show your support for everybody that's supporting you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it, man. I mean, that's the reason I'm there. The shows that I'm on and I'm watching, I respect and I love, and I've gotten to know the people in the chats and stuff like that. Some of this is the chagrin of my wife, so she can see me putting in like one AirPod, and turning on my phone while we're watching the show, and I'm like, I can't miss the ACBA. The beginning of that, while we're watching, I'll still be able to listen to whatever show we're watching, and then I'll be like, wait a minute, what happened to that guy? What just happened? She's like, well, if you were listening. Anyway, but yeah, I love it. You know what I mean? I love it. I mean, sometimes it's like you guys are saying on Sunday, you got to step back a little bit and, take a break from things, you know what I mean? And like a lot of it, you got the photography, you've got photography for the Mythic Legions. I'm doing photography for like Vinyl Toys and some other companies I might be doing some stuff for coming up. And then, if you look at my feed has suffered a little bit because of that, because I haven't really put anything up that's just been creative lately, but I've had to take a little break because like that Necronominus shoot, it's a whirlwind. Like you get stuff, I was shooting stuff up to we couldn't do a Legions Lounge on that Monday because I had to finish it up for Thursday, to go and show the stuff. So thanks. Sometimes the deadlines are tight and, you want to do a great job with that stuff because that's what everybody's eyes are on, you know what I mean? And that's selling the product, and these guys expect that from me. So yeah, it's a little bit of burnout sometimes, but if I could just sit there and watch somebody else's, feed, I'm happy to do that and support. And I know how much work goes into it. So like, I definitely want to go there and tell everybody hit the like and, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Well, it's huge that you make time for that. So I'm just giving you kudos, and, we're going to dig into this a little bit more, but the work definitely pays off for what you do for Legions. I don't know exactly when you got involved, and maybe you can tell us that, but, it's one thing to see a product shot, and I've said this before. It's another to see somebody use it in toy photography. And I know you do both. You do the product photos and you do the toy photos. But that, for me, like sparks a lot of inspiration. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, now I'm seeing how he's using it in the toy shot or the scene that he's setting up and how this can all kind of come together. You do an amazing job, and I know that is a crap ton of work. I don't have a gig like that myself, but I can only imagine it takes me maybe 50, 60 shots just to get one that I like. So you're doing that for 12 figures plus all the product shots. I can't even imagine how long you spend doing all that. And it's probably a significant amount of time.
On top of it, what I try to explain to people every once in a while is these are prototypes. So these are in-house 3D printed resin. And, we've all worked with like resin third-party pieces. They break. And when you put a body together made out of resin, it doesn't want to stay together. You know what I mean? So I've developed ways of using like medical tape to thicken up the joints and make them sort of stick so that I can pose them in some sort of pose. But I'm constantly dealing with things. I'll get behind the camera and I can see that the arm is just slowly falling. You know what I mean? And then like this giant mallet, which they always put, they have these huge weapons and stuff like that, is going to fall on the ground or something like that. So yeah, I mean, that's a lot of it. Like just getting a cool shot, but then getting a cool shot, like the Necronominus shot where he's up in the air. He actually was up in the air for like 2 days. I had him up there somehow. Every night I'd go to bed and I would like start to fall asleep and then wake up and go, I got to go check and see if this thing's falling over. Even though I put like padding in front of it and bolstered it with something else, I'm like, oh my God, if something happens to this. The Cosmic Legions were an exercise in like gluing stuff and waiting for it to dry like every other day. It was just so fragile. There's just no avoiding it. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? So and they understand that. Yeah, the great thing about those guys, like when you're talking about like product photography, there's different types of, some people want like the turns and stuff on black. They have to be a certain way and done a certain way. And that's to show the product off. What's great about these guys is they'll let me take those environment shots, is what I call them, and kind of, go a little nuts and do my style in them, because sometimes it's like, oh, the color's a little distorted. I've had that happen with other companies. Like, it's like, yeah, but it looks cool. Everybody knows, from the product shot, from the on white shot or the on black shot, that the color of the shirt is correct. I'm giving this some like cool light, and making it look like it's come to life, which is what sells the figures. You know what I mean? Lots of people see that and go, ooh, that could look like that on my shelf. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, and they understand that, which is great. It's great working with these guys. They really let the people who know what they're doing and have the experience in it do what they do best, with very little interference, except for, a couple of directives as to, what needs to be shown and stuff like that. So they're great. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so smart from a business perspective to get somebody like you on the team to do that kind of work. Because I've seen, I won't name specific company names, but I've seen some pretty horrible product photography that really turns me off from the figure. I'm just like, oh, this is not looking
It's crazy
good.
what the posing, how it just kills the picture.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a noticeable difference in some of like the companies like Hasbro now, that they have Matt Cohen, who was an ACBA artist, working for them now. And you can see it in those poses that he does. I can see a picture that he does, even if it's just an on black pose. And I'm like, oh, Matt did that because it looks posed, like for somebody who knows what they're doing. No disparagement to the people who were doing it before, but sometimes those are renders, or, we've seen when they've put a weapon upside down in somebody's hand or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just like, getting somebody who knows the product, who loves the product to do it is always a great thing. So,
yeah, it definitely shows in the work, and it's cool that they kind of let you express yourself. Like, hey, this is kind of like my style, because it's instantly recognizable. Like, that's Trevor's shot. It's got to be his work. So it just really does help sell those figures a lot. It's very smart.
It's smart of them to pick people who just know and love the product. They make you. They let you do what you want to do, and they know that you're part of the team. You know what I mean? You love the product, and you're going to do the best work you can for it. So yeah,
and we'll jump into your history here in a second. But since we're already talking about it, might as well dig in a little bit here. Being in toy photography, and I know Prime's done his own toy photography, but one of the goals that you have as a toy photographer sometimes is to be able to work with a company. Like, I hope at some point I'll get recognized and have the ability to do that kind of work. And you're kind of living that dream for a lot of us, which is awesome. And I know that's not the first company that you work with, but just focusing on Legions and that, how did that relationship start? And, feel free to tell me what you can. I know you've got privacy and things to worry about, but I'm just curious, how you got involved.
Yeah, there's no real, so I would say one thing you said, and I'm not to, but like, I would say if anybody wants to do this, first of all, there's a limited amount of a lot of the stuff is made overseas, and they have people over there, Hot Toys, they're bloggers over in, mainland China or Hong Kong that take the pictures. Rarely anybody outside of that gets the opportunity to do that. So, it can't always be something that you want to do either. And what I was going to say is don't wait for it to come. Like you said, somebody to recognize me. I always thought that too, but you actually have to actively go out there and like knock on some doors, you know what I mean? And test, kick the tires and test it with somebody. And it may be somebody small. It may be something that you're not even, I do a lot of vinyl toy work, like these collectible vinyl toys that cost astronomical amounts of money and don't move, but they're beautifully done. I mean, they're cool designer toys. They're the designer toy stuff. Not my thing, but it's work. And, I get to be a little bit creative with it for the most part. So don't always be like, I'm a Marvel Legends guy. I want to do Marvel Legends. Unless you're going to work at Hasbro, you're probably not going to get the opportunity. Maybe they'll give you an opportunity to do it as a promotion or something like that. And don't be afraid to contact them, find out who their PR agency is now, and knock on that door every once in a while. I did that for a while with Hasbro. But the reality is, it is work too. You know what I mean? It's not all fun and games. You know what I mean? I get to have fun with this stuff because I like this stuff. But like I just said, there's deadlines. There's a lot of pressure. You're dealing with prototypes. I did some stuff for Mezco early on, and that was, a lot of blue tack. You know what I mean? And D knows what I'm talking about with this. We talk about it all the time. But as far as the Four Horsemen, I basically went to a Toy Con New Jersey show, and I had been emailing them to get an interview. I was working for X-Glue magazine at the time, and on the pretense of doing an interview with them. I wanted to do the interview, but I also kind of wanted to say, hey, this is me. Here's my Instagram. And Eric Treadaway, who's the lead, he does everything. He's the designer. He creates the lore, all that stuff. Super nice guy. I showed him the picture of the orc on the throne, which kind of blew up on Instagram. He's like, "Oh, I saw that. That's so great." You know what I mean? And that was like, yeah, thanks, man. And we just got talking about it and talking about the figures and stuff. And they invited me to G-Con, which was their sort of SDCC. They didn't go to SDCC. They have their own con at home, much like they did for Necronominus. And at the end of the day, I just said, listen, I got bold, and I said, it's funny because people say this now. Your photography isn't doing the figures justice. This is just not good. They were doing it, and they knew, they're like, yeah, this is not our forte. We just have a room. We take it against the black background. It never comes out black. We need better photography. Do you want to do that? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I want to do it. So that was it. Yeah. So you got to knock on some doors. You got to take a chance, push it a little bit. You can't be afraid to tell somebody like, listen, in a tactful way, I think your products look great. They could look better. You know what I mean? They could look better on, with your photography. I think you could be selling more. You know what I mean? So, you got to approach that carefully, but don't wait for people to come to you. That's the thing. And don't be so myopic that you want to do the things that you only want to do. Because,
that's such a great point to focus on. It's like, it reminds me of that old saying, fortune favors the bold. Nobody made any money by just waiting for the opportunities to come to them. You got to go out there and find those opportunities. And another great point about, a lot of people in the community may be assuming like, well, I want to shoot Mezco. I'm just going to go work for Mezco. Like, the likelihood of that happening is so small. And you're going to miss maybe other opportunities that would give you the credit to walk into Mezco and be like, hey, look, I've worked with these few companies. I've done these type of product shots. So give me a chance. Because like you said, at the end of the day, it's a job. So you're not going to always get what you want. But if you can still put out high quality photos and they're happy with the product, that's what you're trying to build, is that portfolio, right? Just to get more opportunities down the line.
Right. And, enjoy it as a hobby too, I say, like, because again, it is work to do the work. And, it may not be something that you enjoy, because it is like, there are times when I'm like, I got to go down and I got to shoot this thing, man. I got to get this done. And it's not like always looking forward to it, because you have fun right now doing it as a hobby. For me, when I started out, and I'm sure all of us, it was like an escape. You know what I mean? I could go down my studio or my basement or my garage and like just escape for an hour and just shoot toys the way I want to shoot them and make a scene the way I want to make it. That's not the luxury with this stuff. You have to shoot certain things, and they have to have a certain look, and it has to be in a certain environment, and so it is work. So think twice, even in terms of getting free merchandise, which is the other thing that people like to do. I'm like, you are going to feel obligated to shoot that, or you should feel obligated to shoot it if they send it to you. And it may not be stuff you care for or is very good, because that happens to me all the time, so
that's a great point. Yeah. They're not just going to, I mean, it does happen sometimes, I'm sure, but they're not just going to send you the free product and not expect something in return. Like, hey, here's the product.
That's what they're looking for.
Shots.
Yeah. And, at this point, I've had some companies say, hey, do you want to send this? I'm like, you know what? I just tactfully say, I don't really have time to do that, because either I know what the product's going to be and I don't have any desire to do it. And, but it's up to you. Take a chance on that if you're starting out, because if you do go ahead and do it, maybe you'll get some more opportunities there. You know what I mean? So, even if you don't like the product, maybe it's something that you could do.
Yeah. I mean, wise words though, from somebody that's been doing it for a long time. You can listen to other people talk about it, but go from the source, the guy that's been doing it, get his feedback. So I think it's really great advice, and not something that a lot of people can shed any light on. There are some people in the community that are working for other companies, but it's pretty rare that you see that. And like you said, be careful what you wish for, because you might not like it as much as you think you're going to like it. It's not just fun and games. It's a job at the end of the day.
It is. Yeah. Yep. Like everything else with deadlines and
most of us collectors are trying to get away from our jobs, like we do this to, like, it's an escape, and then you end up turning your hobby into your 9 to 5. You're like, I hate it.
And honestly, it's part of that. Like it's also part of it, which maybe we'll get into later, is that I'm like overwhelmed with piles of stuff here, which I'm trying to cut down on, which you guys talk about all the time. But you do this for a week, hardcore, trying to get things ready for a thing, and the last thing I want to do is go downstairs and like set up another shot to have fun and shoot something for my own feed. So my own feed suffers, which is fine, but it's work, man. Maybe just enjoy the hobby, you know what I mean? Just have fun with it,
right?
And, that's good too.
How do you? So that's something I've focused on before. Is if I'm not in the mood, I just can't shoot. I'll just walk away from it. But sometimes you don't really get that option, right? Like you're talking about, you have a deadline for Thursday, it's Monday. You're like, I could sit on the couch, but then I'm just going to keep thinking about the fact that I need to do these shots. So how do you deal with that? How do you try to get that inspiration?
There's times when the inspiration is like anything with a job. It's like, if I'd like to have this job next time and I want more work, I just have to get it done. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not even a matter of like, I'm not motivated. You have a job, I have a job, not this all the time. And you got to do it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think that's the motivation. Like, I want to keep doing this. I don't want to upset anybody, piss anybody off, or not be ready for something, or leave a company hanging or something. Because this is timely stuff. Somebody wants to launch something next, Wednesday. Like, it's not like I can just say, I don't feel like doing it right now. I'll leave it till next Tuesday. That's not going to be good enough. You know what I mean? And it's going to be like, all right, this is the last time we hire this guy. So that's it. That's motivation for that. Yeah. As far as personal stuff, I'm with you, man. Like, there's times I come down here and I'll just look around, and again, it's getting a little out of control. And, I'm overwhelmed by what's on the shelf, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I got to get some sort of picture in my head first as to what I want to do before I come down here and say, okay, what do I want to shoot? You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's today? Way it's too so wide open. You know what I mean? There's so it was almost nicer when I had 1 or 2 details, and that was it. And I kind of want to get back to not 1 or 2 details, but I want to get back to like focused stuff. You know what I mean? Kind of like what you guys talk about, just like getting focused and not just like, ooh, that would be great to shoot, and I'll never do it. You know what I mean? Or that looks cool, I got to have one of those. Like this guy right here, this dino thing looks super cool. And I bought it. I don't know if I'm ever going to do anything with it. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's out of control.
That's always like you get something, and I know the feeling, because you have like a pile of stuff maybe you haven't opened, and you feel like, well, I gotta do something with this. I can't just let it sit here unopened. But then you get something else in the mail, and you're like, well, now that's my focus. And am I ever going to get back to that? That's actually a really great segue. Kind of digging into your background a little bit. Your collecting history. Have you always been a collector? Is this something that you were into when you were younger, or did it kind of evolve as you got older?
This is my
nice
case.
That answers it right there.
Literally from like, I'm older than you guys. This is from 1977, man, and it's filled to the brim with figures.
Hey, I have guns. 2 older brothers. I had a C-3PO and the Darth Vader one that I broke because I was a kid. My brothers, they're like, you destroyed our Star Wars collection. So like we low key kind of.
That's what little brothers do, man. And yeah, that's.
I was like, hey, I was
that's
6. Relax. Like,
yeah, I kept that shit away from my little brothers, man. Like the kind that go
and
out
then I
and
see
like
pictures of the stuff that I broke, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the
They had
Death Star
ships
and
oh.
I know. Yeah, I know. So yeah, to answer your question, I've been a collector since I was a little kid, and an anal retentive one at that, because I still have all the guns for every one of those things.
Nice.
And
Wow.
they're all in pretty good condition. I did draw a beard on Han Solo one time, so that's still on his face, like in blue pen, which didn't make any sense, but whatever. Other than that, yeah, I've been a collector since then. I kind of took a break, I think, like everybody did. Like, you get into your your 20s and 30s, and life is coming at you. Yeah, it was marriage, and if you have kids. And then like a lot of people, I think the Force Awakens, the announcement that Star Wars was coming back, like kind of awakened it in me. Like, and I was like, I'm just gonna get a couple hot toys. I'm gonna get just for my desk, because I knew a guy that I worked with that had a lot of hot toys. I'm like, I'm gonna get a Han Solo and Chewbacca and just have it over there on the side of the desk. And I did, and I put him up there, and I'm like, what would look great with that is a Luke Skywalker. And if you have Luke, you got to have Leia. And then, Darth Vader. You got to have Darth Vader.
You got to have Vader.
Well, Darth Vader needs a couple stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers on either side of him. It'll look great.
Yeah, and then you got to have the Emperor at some point, And
then you need to
have the Emperor. Got to have the droids. Got to have the droids. It's the main thing, right? Yeah, for sure. So, close to 300 1/6 figures later, it's a little out of control. So, so I've been packing some things up, some of the ancillary things, like Game of Thrones and things like that, I'm keeping a few figures from that, but like, you get deep on some of these things, and these characters are like, do I really need representation for every member of the Lannister family on my? No, I don't. Yeah. I don't need that. I'm good with Jon Snow and the Night King. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's good. I'm good. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I mean, you bring up a good point. Though. It's like once you pop, you can't stop, and it's you try to tell yourself like, I'm just gonna get one. But then, like we just had that discussion, I need somebody for him to fight. I need him to have a sidekick or a partner. And it just starts its own thing. And you just said you're almost up to what? Almost 300 1/6 figures?
It's approaching that, yeah. Stupid.
Wow. And that's not the only thing you collect.
Stupid.
You collect 112 and Mythic Legions and like you're talking about.
Marvel Legends and Black Series. And I'm telling you, I won't do a spin of the room because I don't know if that would work on the show, but it's like, it's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot.
And then there's the other half of the basement where there's the overflow of stuff that I haven't even taken out of the boxes and I'm trying to sell. But selling stuff these days, I don't know if you guys have done it. It's not easy, man.
I've been trying for months. And it's I hate dealing with just the shipping and figuring out oh my God. I've been trying to hold off of selling all my stuff. It's crazy the amount of stuff that I had because I went bonkers when I was in toy photography. I was collecting accessories. It's just like so half my garage is just like cases and cases and like and boxes of loose figures. I have boxes of mock. They're still in there, and I'm like, I'm not a mock collector. Why do I have? And I went hard on Black Series. I'm like, why do I have all this Black Series stuff? I'm not into Star Wars like I used to be. It's just so frustrating. Where I'm like, I could park my truck in here, but instead half of it's like figures.
I feel you, man.
And the one thing that I come back to, and I've mentioned this on the show before a couple times, when I first moved. I moved from one city to another, and I first moved up here, and I was living in like this tiny apartment. But my neighbor, he was a big sports collector, and we'd talk about sports. And from one day to the next, he was like gone. And they opened up his garage. They had like his garage unit, and he had all this memorabilia. Like, and he was telling me how his dad used to take him to baseball games, and he was from the East Coast, and he had like, Dodger stuff, Giant stuff from like when they were on the East Coast, and. I just remember him telling me the stories of his dad taking him to certain baseball games. So he had like stuff signed, and I saw these guys. Well, one I met his brother, and he's like, yeah, Jack passed away, blah blah. And he's like, do you want any of his stuff? And I was like, what? And he was just like, and these guys came up, and he's like, yeah, whatever is in like the boxes, you guys can have it. We're all gonna donate it to GoDaddy. To me, I was like,
wow,
fuck
man.
that. Like when I go, I'm not gonna leave any, like there's no U-Haul that's gonna be following my hearse. So I'm gonna make sure.
Let me tell you something.
That
I remember you telling that story, and I think we had done on the 1 6-pack a while ago. We had done a story about like you can't take it with you, and like what is gonna happen.
Yeah.
You got to have a plan for this. It's a morbid thought. It's not something, but we're all going to die. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. We're in line.
The last thing I wanted. Yeah. And the last thing you want to do. And I think about that all the time. I'm not old, but I'm getting older. I'm not getting any younger. And like, I don't want to leave this because I know my wife she's upstairs, but like she will do that. She'll just be like, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Take it. $200, it's all yours. Yeah, I mean, she like
take all 300 figures for $100. Cool, done deal.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So like, you have to have that designated friend who knows the value of stuff that's going to come and say, no. We'll start to pack this up and put it up on eBay. You know, because this will pay for a vacation home for you.
Yeah. Oh,
your a retirement home.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because based on something that what Prime had said earlier on, I talked to my wife after that episode. I'm like, hey, if anything ever happens to me, make sure that you talk to Prime before you sell anything. Don't just give it away because there's a lot of money sitting in the collection room, and you don't want to get rid of that.
After that, I had like
but
this contingency plan.
At the same time, I don't know if you've dealt with this, but I've dealt with people like in-laws who have passed away. Big homes, filled with stuff. You're going through every drawer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you are. Yep.
Is this good? What is this like?
Right.
Excuse me. What is this coin? Is this coin worth money? Now I've got to like become a coin collector expert.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody just wants to get it done, get it sold, and get it the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? So
right.
I'm at a point where like, how much of this do I want to like really hang on to? And at what point am I going to really like, let's go down to a few shelves that could be dealt with easily.
Yep.
50 1/6 figures, you know what I mean?
Right.
20 1/6 figures, you know?
Yeah.
But you don't like, you're like, not right now. I don't want to do it right now. But like we were just talking about selling. It takes so much time to sell. I just put up a Galactus on eBay, and somebody in an auction bid up for it a couple of times, won it, and then ghosted me. Didn't pay ever. It's like, it's so hard to sell stuff. It's ridiculous. And like years from now, what is this stuff going to be worth? Is it going to be anybody going to care about it? You know what I mean? So got to think about that stuff, man. You got to think about that stuff.
And it's
hard
crazy.
So you have to.
And there's daily reminders of this because it's so crazy. So last year we bought a new house. We moved into it, and we talked about it on the show and stuff. And my next door neighbors, he popped up out of nowhere, the neighbor, and I was like, oh, I'm like, I never seen nobody at the house. And then he was letting me know it was the in-laws that used to live there, but they passed away like a year or two before we bought the house. So it's been vacant for like a couple of years. And I was like, oh, he was like, yeah, all their stuff. He's like, he literally just threw it out on the street. He's like, yeah, we don't want none of, we took some of the like personal, but they had like shelves and like furniture and clothes. And it was so crazy because then I saw him come out with like these Playmates and like McDonald's stuff, and this was stuff from like the 70s. It was all taped up.
Wow.
And like the collector me, I was like, damn, should I go take a look?
Go out there and snag it.
What's in that box? Like my mind, I was like, if that is from there's some little kid with, and it was like a whole McDonald's playset, and I was like, oh, right now that thing.
And did you?
I was like getting close to it. I peeked, right? Because there was two other guys just going through all this like retro vintage toy stuff, and a lot of it was Tupperware, and the guy's like, oh, this is just junk. But people went bonkers. Like they had these Coca-Cola shelves and they were metal, and he's like, and the guy's like, oh, this is all from like the 70s. And I mean, it attracted people from like across town, where then we had to like call the cops and be like, hey, it's 3 a.m, and people are like, because it was a massive pile of just stuff. And to me, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want somebody from like, I don't want my kids to be like, oh, here's all his Mezcos. Fuck that.
That's the thing. That's the thing, man. I mean, I gotta say, so we went. It was a day we were cleaning up like the garage or the attic or something, and we were taking like, there was a place in town that you could take like old paint and stuff like that and just drop off this stuff. So we dropped it off, and I get out of the car, and all we were talking about all day is like really decluttering and getting rid of stuff.
Yeah.
And on the pile of trash is a box of like records, like Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. And I'm like, oh, I don't even have a record player. I'm not a vinyl collector, but I'm like, I should really take this stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm like, my wife is going to kill me if we just emptied the car of stuff we're getting rid of. And you're
coming back with more.
I left
my wife was
somebody
like,
else.
Leave
which
it.
was fine.
Like,
somebody else hopefully took it.
I'm like, they have like 2 play sets. I'm all, it's McDonald's stuff. I'm all, there's a Coca-Cola shelf. She's like, no, she's like, you don't need that stuff. I'm like, that Coca-Cola shelf, I could probably sell it for, like, it was all brand, I was like, that's like old school.
But you gotta sell it. But you gotta sell it. That's the problem.
I won't.
It's like a full-time freaking job, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, selling takes a lot of work. You can't just like throw something up and ask for a certain price. You got to do your research. What's it going for? What can I sell it for? When's a good time to sell? Like right now, we're seeing everybody's offloading, which is probably a bad time to be selling, just because there is so much out there. And people are willing to take, price.
And nobody has money, because it's Christmas and, it's nuts.
Someone
and you think about the hours. Yeah. You think about the hours that it takes to like, I put this up on eBay. It took me like 20 minutes to take pictures and post it up there. I had to wait a week. The auction's over. It was maybe, $100 over the price. But then on top of that, free shipping. So the shipping's on me. Then I got to drive it there. I got to, make sure it's like, it's another 20 minutes of time. So like you think about your time and what your time is worth and the amount of time that you put into selling this thing. And is this the $100 that you made on it even worth it for that? Like,
not even
really.
Yeah.
Not really.
Right.
So
I always love when you go.
I
went back and forth with somebody. They were like, oh, I'm looking for goals. I need somebody who's going to sell 4. And ironically, I had 4. And I was like, yeah, here. Like a little bit above retail. A little bit. And then I saw what everyone was selling them for. I'm like, fuck, this guy's getting a deal. Nope. He wanted them for like retail. And I was like, man, like I spent half a day going back and forth. I had to go in to my garage, take pictures. And I'm like, I don't even want to be dealing with this shit right now. I have to go to work. Take my kids, pick up my kids, and then at the end of it, he just ghosted me, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I too much. It's too much for me."
Yeah.
So
I tell you, I've been having fun giving stuff away on the show, like especially on Legions Lounge. Just like I've got extra Legions, and I'm just like, let's do a giveaway this week. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
We're actually doing a Toys for. So I announced yesterday on the show that we're doing a Toys for Tots. Like all the super chats are going to go towards Toys for Tots, and then I would match it. So we did $300 between the last show and this show, and I matched that, and so I've got like $600 worth of stuff coming from different toy stores now.
That's awesome,
which is awesome, man, and that feels good. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm definitely going to throw some of this stuff in with that stuff because I just want to get rid of it. You know what I mean? And some of it's like people won't even pay for it anymore. So like you said, some of the Black Series that's older, like. Oh, nobody wants that. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
Some kid it'd be great, but nobody's going to pay for it because everybody's got one, or it's just not, whatever. So
I mean that's awesome that you guys are doing that, and I think it's such a great idea, especially at this time of the year. And if the end goal is really to get rid of stuff, there is going to have to be some sacrifice, I think, sometimes on that value, or hey, I'm just going to give this away because I want to give it away, or giving somebody a good deal that maybe is a friend. I think it's the hardest thing is to try to be a stickler on your price or try to get above what maybe other people are selling it for. You got to be realistic when you're selling stuff. You're not going to get top dollar. You might not even get what you paid for, but if the end goal is to get rid of it,
just get rid of it. Yeah.
Just get rid of it. Yeah. Or, look for opportunities like what Trevor's doing, participate in a giveaway or Toys for Tot, like go send it, drop it off in one of those bins or donate or something, cause I think
feels
a lot of people
good.
say like, well, go ahead, Trevor.
No, go. Keep continuing.
I was just going to say, you see a lot of people like, I want to get rid of stuff, but really they're just trying to make money or they're not getting it at the right price. I'm like, you're not really trying to get rid of it. You're just trying to make some money.
Yeah.
You got it.
It feels good to give it away. It feels good to like, if it is like it is with you guys, like weighing on my mind, you know what I mean? Like when I come down here and I have piles of stuff, like I want this place to be clean and a place where it's like, I come down and go, I like being here. Right. I'm inspired by it and I want to shoot something, not like I'm tripping over boxes. And like, I'd feel good. Just, like you said, Nate, just even if it's like you lose a little money on it, like it's gone. You know what I mean? It's gone. Like I know you think about it like, but I could have made $10 more. But like, you know what? How much is
peace
that
of mind
to you?
is
You know what I mean?
priceless.
Peace of mind. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. No, that's the best. That's the best.
Great discussion. I love to hear your feedback on that, because I think it's something that's just so common with all of us. How do you stay focused? How do you try to budget, or do you just throw caution to the wind? Like, hey, maybe I can afford this, maybe I can't.
Yeah.
And I love listening to, like, you guys use shows like that all the time, man. And it's a good reminder. It's like it resets your brain that you're like, you know what? Yeah, I gotta really focus. And I've decided that, I love Mythic Legions, obviously. And there's things like Black Series that I'm just not picking up anymore. And I'm not picking up these. Well, I mean, all right, might be my last ancillary thing, but like just all these things that look really cool. There's a lot of stuff that looks cool. I mean, there's so much good stuff coming out.
There's so much good stuff.
People say it all the time. We're in the golden age of toys. And, thankfully, I'm not like nostalgic for the Turtles or G.I. Joe, because God, I would be in so much trouble.
It's rough.
So that's good. But yeah, you gotta like focus, man. Because I don't even see, like, when people say like, well, yeah, I have Black Series, but it's in a bin somewhere. Like, are you really collecting that then? If it's just in a bin somewhere, like you're not even looking at it? I don't feel I'm at that point where I need to I need shelf space, and I'm either going to sell it or I'm going to put it in a bin. And I feel like if I put it in a bin, what is the point? What is the point?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. You end up taking up more space in your house. And,
exactly.
When I started collecting Legions, I made a point like, okay, I got to back off on some other stuff or get rid of a lot of things. And, for yourself or anybody else out there, I've seen a lot of success going to a local toy show, setting up a table, and just offering really good prices. And I offloaded a ton of stuff. And it makes the process so much easier, not having to deal with eBay and shipping and like trying to find a box and all that other stuff. So maybe that's an option for you, Trevor, finding a local toy show that you can sell at.
Oh, I'm doing it. I've done the New Jersey toy show, and I'm probably going to do it again because, it's at that point where like I have to do something like that. And
there you go, catch Trevor on the corner. Just check your corners.
Exactly. Well, I've
going to be out in front of his house. Just
some people have told me, like at the toy show, actually, there's one guy's like, there's this guy in New Jersey who used to just open up his garage and he would have shelves, and he would like literally like every other weekend or 1 week in a month would have like a toy store open. You come in his garage and you just buy stuff, and everybody knew about it. They park around the block. You know what I mean? It was crazy. Almost to that point.
I'm about to do that. I'm at that point. Like it's insane because my garage. Oh my God. And like you start thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't even want to go down there because it pisses me off. Like I see all those boxes and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to do is add. Yeah. The last thing you want to do is add more boxes to the pile. I want to take away. I don't want to add to it.
It hurts when you got to put something else on there. And if it doesn't fit neatly, like a Tetris thing, it's like, oh God, it's messing everything up. Not that I'm like, retentive like that, but like, just like, I want to keep this confined, and like every other box that I add just makes it bigger and bigger.
And then here's the kicker: like there's so much stuff that I've already have, and as a collector you've accumulated, but there's so much new stuff. Like I've been really trying to make the transition from 112 to 118 for some time, and I'm like, I can't
Joy baby.
Oh yeah,
love it,
man. I know when you showed the bike the other day on the stream, I'm like, fuck. I had to cancel my pre-orders because I'm like, what am I gonna do with all this 118 stuff? I don't have enough time, patience, or energy to like really dive into it. I still have some mechs that my brother gave me from Christmas last year, still in boxes. So it's like I need a clean slate. I need to just get rid of all
another
my
rabbit
stuff
hole
that's in boxes.
It takes up less space though. Less space though.
It does. I can put it all in my closet instead of my garage.
But then, we've all invested in dioramas for 1/12 figures, and now it's like, now am I going to get into another scale that I have to get more dioramas for and take up more space with dioramas? Like,
there'll be even smaller dioramas.
So I guess I haven't gotten over this. It's I really haven't.
Well, it stays with you for so long. It's a part of our lives, and like you said, you've been collecting since you were a kid. You just broke out that Kenner Star Wars set. So it's hard to change those behaviors. I get it. I think we all go through it. And I'm glad we talked about it because I'd like, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you is how do you stay focused?
Yeah.
But sort of shifting gears
Apparently
a little bit. Well, yeah, it's a constant struggle. And I think for you, it might be even harder because you are exposed to so much stuff, maybe because of the product photography and working with these different companies. Like, oh, I didn't know if I was interested in this, but I kind of like it. Or, just other things that you might be seeing. But switching gears a little bit and digging sort of into your photography background, because that's such a big part of what you're doing now. How did you start? Do you have a photography background? What made you want to start getting into toy photography?
I have a little bit of photography background, so I'm old enough to remember when there were dark rooms, and I hated photography in school. Like, I hated the dark room. Like, it felt to me like I could
Trevor, that's where you
pay
take the
somebody
girls.
to
You're like, come on, let's
yeah,
go into the
I
dark room.
know.
I used to
Yeah,
love photography in high school. I'm like, come on, let's
come on in
and they're like, no,
and watch me
no one
expose some
no one
things.
would go within the
They
dark
didn't
room
know
with
it.
me.
Right. Well, we don't want to see you expose anything, man. Like, no.
Let's yeah.
You had to use the bag to open up the canister and put the film.
Come on,
like,
we're gonna
yes,
dodge and burn, baby. No.
yeah, let's put our hands in this bag.
It was a great opportunity if I'd been smarter to, like, take pictures of girls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, like,
That's all I
tasteful
did. I was like, I
pictures,
need a
of course.
model. I was like,
Exactly.
That's all I did. Pictures were
Let's
crap.
go to the cemetery and take pictures, But it didn't appeal to me. Like, I was an illustrator. I wanted to be a comic book artist.
Mhm.
I was,
Okay.
I learned the computer fairly quickly, but, like, it was kind of new when I was in college, like Photoshop and stuff like that. So, but as I got on, I'm a graphic designer. So as I got on my career, there were times when I needed to take a product shot that we didn't have a budget. The client didn't have a budget to hire a professional photographer. So you learn by doing. So, kind of had to do it then. I didn't love it because, like, who wants to, have to take a picture of, like, a dental, I don't know, dental
implant or something
box, yeah. It's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It looks good enough.
Right.
But you would try to make it look nice. So kind of when I got into the toy photography is when I really delved into, photography and, like, really trying to learn. And I'll tell everybody the same thing. Like, I have some good videos. They're very good videos on my channel that are specific to toy photography, but you should watch things like portrait photography videos and product photography videos, because that all plays into all those techniques, all play into everything you're trying to do with toy photography. You're taking portraits of figures, they're people. Well, they're representations of people. So the same, rules apply, and product photography, which the same rules apply because they're static figures. So all that stuff is good. But it was because of this toy photography hobby that I got. And I'll tell you a quick story. So I started taking pictures of, like, that Han Solo and Chewbacca just to post them on, like, some of the chat rooms and stuff like that. Like, not Reddit at the time, but, like, some forums and things like that. And I'm like, you know what I could do? I know Photoshop. I could Photoshop these guys in front of the Millennium Falcon. That would look so cool. So I did it. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm not using this Instagram for anything but pictures of my dogs. Let me post it up here. Like, I think I've invented a new thing.
Yeah.
I get on and like, oh, there's Sergeant Bananas. I guess he's been doing this for a year or so. So, like, there's, like, hundreds of people doing this already. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. So that, just got me into it. So that was it.
Well, I think you're being a little humble there too. Like, I get there might have been a few other people around, but from what I recall, you're one of the first that I remember discovering. And you've been on Instagram for quite a long time. I don't even know how long you've been on there. I tried to find a start date, but you probably, manicured it a little bit over time.
2015.
Okay.
Oh,
I think it was
it's crazy because 2014, 2015. That's when I jumped on.
That's when a lot of people jumped on, and I think I just missed. I think a lot of people came out in 2014, and they rode that wave of Instagram. Like, it was a beautiful thing. Like, the late 2013, early 2014 was like, you could post a picture up, and you'd get 1,000 likes, and you'd get 500 new followers. Yeah. And then they changed the algorithm, like, in March, like a month after I started, and, like, it just went downhill from there. So I had to really like.
And it was so funny because I jumped on there to sell. I jumped on there to sell all my stuff. So I was just posting pictures of, like, my collection.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I'm going to sell all this stuff. And then someone's like, dude, you got this. You got like all these Marvel. Like, you should open them. And I was like, what? And I was like, I'm just trying to like, and then I started opening it and I was like, oh my God, like the little kid inside of me is like, it's Christmas. And that was all downhill.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people started that way. It was just like, hey, yeah, this looks fun. I'll take a couple pictures of my collection or this particular figure. And now come to find out, like with Jay Hernandez, like hand picks and table picks are the most popular thing. You know, we spend hours and hundreds of shots trying to make these things look beautiful, and he gets 10,000 likes on a
those hand johns, man. He's
the hand johns.
Yeah. But I mean, you said
and
something
that goes back to like some of the videos that we do. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Prime.
This mug.
I would say like something that you had touched on earlier, Trevor, that you put in all this effort onto a video or content, but then you take something so simple, you're like, oh, this is going to be, and it's not going to take off. Then it takes off, and like the hand pick, where I remember we talked about it with Jay, and he's like, that was just something so dumb that it took off. But then I spent like 8 hours on a video and do all that, and it gets hardly any traction. Like that's
was with
mind blowing.
X-Clue. We learned that not quickly, but like X-Clue was all about the toy photography and toy news, and we had a guy who in Hong Kong who was taking pictures of just the tray. Of a new SH Figure Arts figure that nobody had, but it was just a tray shot. And those went through the roof. They were the best things we had on. And it was like, why are we bothering with the toy photography, man? Because it's just like all people want to see is a tray shot and see the figure. Like it's weird. I still don't understand it, but like I don't know if we're an insular community of like toy photographers liking toy photography. I know that's not always the truth because there are people, and depending on the subjects, like Jax has the basketball thing. So he's got a lot of the sports people or ancillary to the figures coming in and liking that stuff, which is a great idea too. Like find a niche. Like there was a guy named Scotch Trooper who sadly passed away a few years ago, who he had Scotch endorsements from Scotch companies, and he took pictures of stormtroopers on the Scotch bottles and around the Scotch glasses and stuff like that. So, I mean, but, you want to do something with a company. It doesn't have to be a toy company either.
Yeah.
Going back to our earlier conversation.
It's one of those things.
I mean,
I've tried to think about it too. Like, why is it that those hand shots do so well? Earlier on in my Instagram, history, I was doing unboxings where I just take, a top-down shot of the figure in the tray or something like that, and they would blow up. Yeah. And I didn't really understand it at the time. It's like, this is so simple compared to some of the other stuff that I'm doing. But I feel like maybe that simplicity is what brings people to it. It makes it a little less intimidating. Like, hey, I could do that too. Or
I think you've hit on that. I think you hit on the right thing. Yep, exactly. I think you're right. I think that's what it is. Yep. Mm-hmm. They can relate.
Because I think toy photography for some people could be very intimidating to get into, and I was included in that. But if you can simplify it, maybe make it something that anybody could do, it becomes a little bit more attractive for some reason. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there is still like you said, that tight knit of community that appreciates what it takes to do some of the toy art. And, companies are obviously getting a bit more involved and appreciating that as well. You're an example of that with Mythic Legions. Like, hey, this is the kind of shots we want to show for our figures. So that is out there, but there is a huge community of people that aren't involved that are just like, hey, this is relatable. I like it. Let me do a like.
Do you think it's an intimidation thing? Do you think that there's people who are interested in toy photography and yet see something that's like, something you and I would do, and it's like, you took many hours and it looks incredible. They just can't achieve that? And is it like screw this. Like, I like this.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can take a picture of it in front of like a bowl of food or something like that. And, whatever it is. There's some major accounts. I won't name names, but there's some pretty simple stuff going on there. And not talking about Jay, like he doesn't claim to be a toy photographer.
Yeah,
but, the hand shots are just like the tray shots. It's just like people just like to see a cool pose. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just I'm not interested in toy photography or breaking down, and I don't understand the complexity of what you've done here. It just looks like, yeah, that's cool looking. But that's cool looking too. The way you put Spider-Man in your hand there, like that looks great,
Right? Yeah.
So we may be overthinking of it in terms of artistic approach to it, and people are just like, "Hey, that's a great pose in your hand," So whatever,
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm gonna do what I want to do.
topic, and I don't, you could look at it from either side, but there's a part of me when I'm posting shots too, and that I can't just make it super simplistic. I want to add a little bit more complexity there, because maybe I'm personally just not happy with it. Like, that looks too simple. But then am I overthinking it? Should I make it a bit more simple so it is more approachable? I don't know what it is.
Well, you want to challenge yourself too, though, because it's part of the hobby.
That's true.
It's challenging yourself a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it does get boring. I mean, I know a lot of people who, again, not naming names, but there are accounts that do beautiful work, but you can tell that they have like a lighting setup, and it does not change almost at all. You know what I mean? It's basically the same setup, and they just plop a figure down, maybe move a couple of things here and there, and it looks beautiful. But I would get bored with that real fast, man. If I wasn't trying to do something new or different, or set a scene or tell a story, I'd be bored of tears. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be doing it anymore. So, but to each his own.
Well, it's a good point though, because I think for me, and it sounds like for you too, is a lot of it's just the creative outlet. Being able to be creative and putting an idea to paper and seeing it in fruition. It's like, oh, that's what I was thinking in my head, and now I'm actually seeing it in a toy shot. It feels great that you could accomplish something like that. So I think that's a driver for me, but maybe for some people it's just not the driver. I just want to see the figure. I want to see it in a cool pose, and that's all I care about.
I mean, I think people appreciate certain shots, but like, for me and like you, it's like, I'm a frustrated comic book artist, man. I wanted to do that, and then I saw the amount of work and the amount of pay that you got to do this stuff, and the time. I am not fast. I can draw, but I am not fast at all. And I saw the amount of work you had to crank out in that profession through people who I knew, and I'm like, this is not for me. And then like, hey, maybe I'll be a director, and that's like, yeah, okay, you're going to be a director. What are you going to direct? You're going to end up directing commercials. So, for me, this is that outlet. This is like, I can create a comic book panel right here. I can create a little movie scene right here. So that's what it is for me. And I mean, that's why I want to take the time on it and make it something great, and some people will see the amount of work it went into it, and some people say, hey, Spider-Man looks really cool there. Okay, whatever, that's fine.
Thanks. That's cool that you had a history of wanting to be a comic book artist, you said. And it sounds like it didn't pan out because you just didn't, like, you weren't interested after a while, or you're just like,
know your limitations is another bit of advice I'll give you, which, like, I could draw, and I've posted some stuff to my stories before. I had some pretty good panels. I bought the big comic pages and drew them out. I wasn't great at
you don't have to be great at drawing feet. I mean, you can just do some.
I could listen, man. I could fucking draw feet. Fuck Rob Liefeld, okay? Because fucking Rob Liefeld was part of the reason. Part of the reason that I didn't pursue this is because of fucking Rob Liefeld. Because like, I saw this. I'm gonna tone my language down, but I saw Rob making a ton of money in waves and getting popular, and this motherfucker couldn't draw for shit. Triggered is exactly right. And like, I draw better than this guy, and I can't, but I didn't also know that, like, I'm sure he could crank out. Rob Liefeld could probably crank out a book a day, I'm sure. Yeah. But like, you had to crank out at least a page a day, if not more. And like people like John Byrne, like that was he was my anchor, like he was my North Star, man. I'm like, I want to be like John Byrne. And John Byrne was fucking good. And he could crank out pages, but he would put detailed sci-fi backgrounds and stuff, and his layouts and his composition was amazing. And I'm like, I am never going to be this fast, man. I probably could have been, but at the time I just said, you know what, it's not going to happen. And just kind of set it aside and went into graphic design. So it's all good. Worked out well. Make a good living off of that. So it's fine.
It's funny how that evolves though over time. Like you started wanting to do comic book art, and then you went into graphic design, which is still, a form of art. And then as you got later in life, you got into toy photography. So it's like you've been scratching that itch for a long time. It's just kind of evolved over time. So you can definitely see it in your work.
I think my wife, like, she understands this and supports this, and she knows that it makes me some money. Not the majority of my income, but to me, this is like, I've had stuff on billboards, I've had stuff on magazines, but people are like, I'm talking about advertisements. It's throwaway. You know what I mean? Nobody's remembering. I didn't do anything. I didn't do a Where's the Beef campaign or anything like that. And even then, who was responsible for Where's the Beef? Do you even know? You don't know that guy's name. You know Clara Peller. You know what I mean? You know the woman that was like the Where's the Beef woman.
Yep.
This, quite frankly, to me, is like, it's odd, but it's like a legacy. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, like, I'm just like the name of your show, I'm not recalling his name, but the guy who did all the Star Wars photography for the back of the boxes and the magazines and the advertisements and stuff like that. He was speaking at Celebration a couple of years ago, man. I went to see him, and like, he was talking about the experience. And now, like, my stuff is going to be on the back of the Cosmic Legions packaging. It's on the packaging. It's in the advertisements. And
so cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're the president of the United States or anything, but like some small faction of some small group 30 years from now is going to come together at a convention and talk about the packaging from Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions. You know what I mean? It'll be like, yeah, that guy, man, he was good. You know what I mean? Like, and that's enough. That's cool. I'm down with that. That's great. You know what I mean? And it'll be that way for a lot of people on Instagram. I think whether or not toy photography will last 30 years into the future, I think people will look back on it, everybody who's doing it, and just go, wow, this is some pretty cool stuff, man. You know what I mean? And maybe it'll come back around if it ever falls out of favor. I don't know. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool to be part of that.
Yeah, I mean, it must feel like such an achievement sometimes, when you're at Legions Con. And I was, I saw your table there, and you were swarmed pretty much the entire show. I'm sure you're trying to, you were having a hard time just finding time for yourself because so many people wanted to talk to you, and
so hard to shop.
They appreciate it. Yeah,
they're like, sign right here.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
So. And he's like, Nate. Go,
sir. Sir.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
No, but I mean,
Nate told me, he's like, Trevor wouldn't sign my chest. I was like, okay.
I think you're a big part of the reason why Legions have become larger, because not only do you do the shots, but you're a big voice for the community, and you've made that with Legions Lounge. So kudos to you, man. You've really done some amazing work, and I love the Cosmic Legions box. I gotta say, I might like it a bit more than the Mythic Legions boxes.
Me too.
Just because,
not just
they do show the
photography on it, but I love that. I love that checklist. Yeah. I love the checklist.
Yes,
it's so great.
It's great. Yeah, because I know they did something similar with Mythic. I wish I had a box around here, but they would show the faces of that wave. But being able to see the entire figure like that is so much cooler. So I really like the way what they're doing with
it. Just harkens back to the Star Wars packaging, and that's what kind of up until this point I hadn't even thought about it in that respect. Like that I just explained. But now seeing that, it's like, oh, that looks like the stuff that I looked at when I was a kid. And I remember back, and now they're talking to that guy who took those pictures. You know what I mean? So it's probably not going to be anything. I'm under no illusion or delusion that this is going to be anything. But to me, this means more to me than the legal law firm website that I did, a year ago. That'll probably be out of business in 3 years. You know what I mean? And nobody will ever remember unless they go to the Wayback Machine. And who's looking for that? It's a little bit of a legacy, you know what I mean? And even like pictures that anybody's taking, even if you're not working for a company, this kind of stuff, like, I think is going to become, whether it's high art or fine art in the future, I don't know, but I think it's going to have almost like that. What do they call that? Not pedestrian art, but the folk art, like type of thing. You know what I mean? Like there was like people were just doing in their homes. And now that's become like, that's a collectible thing to get, like, just untrained artists work, like who did like barn scenes and things like that. I think it could be the same thing, in some respect in years to come. So it's cool to be part of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so important to have that passion for it, right? Just that's a big part of it too. Whether you're doing toy photography or you're making dios like Prime, or you're a customizer, you got to have the passion for it to be successful. And without that, it's just not gonna go anywhere. You got to be willing to invest.
I think the Dio stuff too. I mean, there's people who are making their name like Prime, like and Terraforma and Former and stuff like that. Like it's just going to be, these people are going to be remembered, you know what I mean, in the future, for sure, for the work. It's going to become a thing. And, like when I was a kid, Led Zeppelin was gone, but like I loved Led Zeppelin, you know what I mean? Like it's just going to be that thing. It's like, oh, these guys are old dudes now, but like, look at the stuff that they made, man. This was so cool. Nobody does it like that anymore. Like this was classic stuff. And they didn't even have like, full CR, what the hell, like those big CT cutters and stuff like that in their homes. They had to do it all by hand. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. It's a cool time, man. Like it's for this hobby, it's a great time to be around, and there isn't a better time. I wish I was younger, but that's my only regret, I think, at this point.
Yeah, well, talking about that, and as you're obviously been doing more work with Mythic Legions and Cosmic, and you just finished the Necronominus wave, which is incredible. I think it's one of the best looking waves they've done so far. But looking towards the future, what's on your mind? Like, what are you trying to accomplish?
Trying to accomplish. I mean, I would love. There's, going back to the earlier discussion, I was going to say I would love to make this like everything I do full time. At the same time, I'm wondering if it was that way, if I wouldn't get burnt out on it. You know what I mean? Like there are going to be things that you're not going to love doing. I did some work for a 1/6 Star Trek company a while back, QMX, when they were doing the Star Trek figures, and I loved that. It was the original series, right? And I loved the original series of Star Trek. So that was a lot of fun to shoot those things. Work, again, timelines, deadlines, prototypes, again. But I liked it. And then we moved on to like, some of the movies, and even with the Next Generation, I like the Next Generation, but like, some of the other shows that I didn't watch, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know anything about this show, and now I've got to research like what, and Asmus Toys would send me like a video game, like from Devil May Cry. I've never played Devil May Cry. I don't know anything about this character. I don't know what he does with this weapon. I don't know what kind of background he's going to be in. And it was work. And I'm like, you know what? Don't send me any more of those things because it was too much work. So that's kind of like, do you want to do that? Or do you just want to like have some fun and make a little bit of side money or something, which I think I'm probably good with. I don't know. I'd like to see. There's a book coming out from Mythic Legions that
I heard about that.
I'm going to be involved in, and that kind of stuff. Again, that's kind of stuff I'm really. I like I'm doing the calendars. I think that's a really cool thing. I didn't think anybody would buy a calendar, but people are buying calendars, and I buy like a Rosetta calendar like every year or something like that. A Boris Vallejo or something like that because I just love their work. So stuff like that would be fun. I'd like to do more of that stuff. Maybe a book, but it's tricky with toy photography and copyright and stuff like that. You can't really do that kind of stuff, which is kind of sucks in a way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of happy with what I'm doing now. I don't really want to change much except get rid of some of this crap. I just want to get rid of some of this stuff. That's my
think more of the same is not a bad thing because what you're doing with the Legions and Four Horsemen in general is so cool. I just can't wait to see what else comes out. I'm excited to see for that next wave and your product shots. But yeah, for anybody listening, we've talked about a lot here, and one of the things that you said that was really resonated with me, I heard you say it on your live so long ago, is studying that product photography, going to a YouTube and looking at how people do that product photography, which is why I appreciate that you do that so much in your own. And I know that it's harder to find time for it, and you try to do it when you can. But that type of information when you're starting out with toy photography is like gold, because for me, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to light. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I didn't even know, what to ask, what questions to ask. So when you hear people talk about, study product photography, and then I find a video about product photography, here's 3-point lighting. It's like a light bulb goes off in your head. Like, holy crap, how did I think about this before? But but that stuff is just so informative. So I appreciate it. So I hope you get to find more time to do that. I appreciate that what you have done. But for anybody that's curious and wants to see some in-depth work, find Trevor's YouTube, and you can find some of his shoot and reviews. He does the Toy Photography Roundtable with some pretty big names in the toy community. Tom Iowawatu is one of them. I know you've had a lot of other people. I don't want to forget anybody, so I won't mention specific names. But yeah, I mean, that stuff is just so incredibly informative, and it's so hard to find resources like that.
And the thing is, when I started out, it wasn't as much there, and there was a little more of an attitude of guardedness about like your trade secrets. And I don't give everything away, especially in my post editing. There's some things that I do in post editing that I like to keep to myself because it's kind of creates a look, my own look. But I didn't invent any of this shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, again, you go into product photography. I mean, like you said, there's 3-point lighting right there. Like, I didn't figure that out. Maybe I didn't even figure it out, how to hide stands. There's people in ACBA that have been doing that for years. And honestly, like even the digital backgrounds and stuff like that, that's a product photography thing. People have done, beer bottles in front of like a background of a stadium that they're not in a stadium. It's a TV, behind them. So it's not something that's like, didn't invent any of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like you can figure it out. So I have no qualms about like not sharing a lot of stuff, you know what I mean? Because I think it's just, again, it's part of your, if you want to call it a legacy, and it's part of the hobby, furthering the hobby and letting people have fun with it. You know what I mean? Because they're like, how do you do that? Well, here's how you do it. There you go. Try it. Right. Still not easy, but at least this is how you do it. You still have to practice. So,
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. I can tell you about 3-point lighting. You can buy a nice camera. You can buy a good lens. You can buy lume cubes. But if you don't know what you're doing with it, you're still not going to get a great shot. You're going to have
to practice,
put in the time. Yeah. But you had mentioned you'd showed the Four Horsemen a shot to get them, to get you on board. Is it this shot here? Is it this one?
That's the one.
The one that you showed.
That's the one.
Okay. Yeah. This is one of my favorites.
And then for me at the time, I mean, that went crazy. I mean, that was over 1,000 at the time. It's gone up a little bit more since then, but like at the time for me, that was like blowing up. And it was cool. And, I liked the shot, but I guess it's one of those things where it was just like, it captured something for people. I don't know. I'm not really sure. But I mean, this kind of solidified the look for me as well. This going forward from here, everything, at least Mythic Legions in that realm, took on that feel of, not that one in particular, but
well, still, I still kind of get that.
Took on that feel of, I love Frazetta, you know what I mean? I love fantasy art. And I really wanted to try and capture that in toy photography. And I think at this point, it took a while, but I think I've gotten to that point where it has that feel, and there's a look that people say, I didn't believe it for a long time. Now I kind of feel it, that like, hey, I can tell that's your photo as soon as I see it, which there's still sometimes when you feel doubt about that. You're like, is this really? I don't know. Maybe it's just not. Or maybe I don't have a style. You know what I mean? Well, that's good to hear. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think I've got a style now. But for a while I was like, I don't have a style. I'm all over the place. But you do fall into things, and it's not even a matter of like doing the same thing again. Like I said, it's like not setting up the same lighting scheme every time. It's just I
love this one. So creative. So
this
fun.
is kind of spur of the moment. This was the what was it, like what was it called? Hold My Toys. They asked me to do something where it was like, for a while they were having artists hold their favorite toy and stuff, and I'm like, so all right, got to do this.
What do you
can see some of the vinyl toys there and stuff like that. What's that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What do you feel about the Hasbro Indiana Jones?
I'm getting it. We'll see. I would love to see, as not much as Mezco is, they're coming back into my good graces, but there's some things, but and I love their figures. They need to be a little more vocal with their explanations and things like that. But I'd love to see them do an Indiana Jones. I'd love to see like a 1/12 cloth figure. But I'll take Hasbro for now. I think it looks kind of cool. I'll have fun with it. I think, like we were saying, Prime, I think the 1/18, the 3 3/4 stuff would be great, because then you could have vehicles and environments and stuff like that. I'd almost like to see, because the vintage series is kicking the Black Series ass all over the place, man. That stuff is great. So I would have loved to have seen that happen. But I'm down with it. Anything Indiana Jones is cool with me. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah, I figured.
I actually did paint that.
Really? Wow.
It was a little bit of work.
Chrome.
Bought an extra head because again,
wow.
and I bought I had the Mezit, and that was actually the SH Figure Arts Grogu body, and it happened to pop onto there and look like it fit perfectly. It was so good.
Genius, man.
Yeah,
genius.
Mezco loved this one, but like they probably couldn't have reposted it because of the copyright infringement, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Mezco, you shoot their products amazing as well. I mean, this is one of my favorites from you too. Yeah.
Doc Nocturnal. See, there's a theme, because Doc Nocturnal is very pulp-like, and I love, again, that's that fantasy art pulp look that I love. Like some of these things, like I don't know what to do with the Gomez, man, aside from the Mandalorian.
Me too.
I got all the Gomez stuff. I don't know what to do with them. I just don't.
Yep.
But Doc Nocturnal has kind of like sparked something in me. I kind of dug that a lot. So,
I have a really hard time getting inspired with Gomez stuff. I've got that same kind of problem going on, where I'm like, I just don't know what to do with this. What kind of environment do I put him in?
I kind of stopped, man. I'm not getting like all the Cousin Eddies and stuff like that. It's just like, they keep building up a lot of space in a Detolf, and like I'm not really doing anything with them. The horse one up the next one is one of the that one like really blew up. Everybody loves this one.
That's great. Yeah,
it's
a good one.
It's epic, man. Epic.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because when I was shooting it, I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good, kind of cool. But I think it's like getting horses are tough, man. Horses are tough to make look like they're moving correctly. There's so many limbs that are moving in weird directions and stuff. So, but these are they're beautiful figures, man.
Yeah, anybody listening, if you're not watching the video version, this is one we'd recommend probably watching the video version of. There's just a lot of stuff to show, and you can see a lot of Trevor's work. I know you have a website as well where you have a lot of your work. If you go to Trevor's profile on his Instagram, you can find his link tree. He's got a website. He's got the products I use page from Amazon. So for anybody that is trying to find some, helpful things for toy photography, we talked about that on our last episode.
Yeah, I appreciate
a lot of helpful stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I put a few things in my own wish list. I'm like, hey, these are great gift ideas for me. These are things that I need. But extremely helpful.
And those 1, 2, 3 blocks, Prime, like you were saying, like I didn't even think about them as a utility for dioramas, like in a mechanical way. Like I use them, like you said, Nate, as weights, and like you can kind of thread a stand through them as well to kind of anchor a stand behind a scene or prop a figure up. They have so much weight to them that they're great. They're just great, and they're super cheap. So like, I just have a bunch of them for all sorts of reasons. There's some good stuff on there. I think I try to keep that updated with anything that I knew that I buy, but I just figured it's a resource for people, because people are always asking me, like, where do you get these lights? What are those things you use? It was in that thing in your behind the scenes, and it's just great to say, just go here. They're right there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the fact that you share that out there is just huge. So for anybody that doesn't follow Trevor, please go follow him on Instagram at 16shooter. Subscribe to his YouTube. Check out a lot of his content. Yeah, just Brian's following him as we're talking.
Beef. We got beef.
That's it. We got beef. And it's anything that you want to promote. I know you've got a calendar that you're pulling out there.
Only about 40 of these left as of this recording. There's 12 months, 2023. A couple of people are like, "Is that a 2022 calendar? Like, why would I be putting out a 2022 calendar in December?" But no, it's 2023. So
this
you
might
get
be the year.
that shot.
This might be the year to
there.
jump into Legions.
Dude, yes. I'm gonna send you one, man. I'm gonna send you one. I'm gonna get your address from Nate, and I'm just gonna send you one for Christmas. And you do have any?
That I
oh,
bought.
That's right. You do have some.
I have two that I bought. And I haven't opened them. I still haven't opened them. There's still actually I have three. I have Krampus,
man.
the Knight, and the Templar. That's it.
Oh, you gotta open one, man. You gotta open.
I haven't opened them. I got to experience them being open at Decon. That's where Mike, he bought a bunch of him and Mario bought a bunch of Mythic Legions, and I was like, damn. So Mario sold me his Krampus.
I was giving Prime shit because for the last about year and a half now, I've been telling him you got to get into Legions. You got to get into Legions. And we were on, I think, a Monday, Motivation Monday, and he's like, those shots from Trevor on the Necronominous Wave sold me. I'm in. I'm like, I've been talking to you about it for a year and a half, and all it took was some shots from Trevor to get you on.
Dude,
yeah.
I'm like, this is a humble brag, whatever, but like so many people are like, and I love to hear that too. It's like, dude, this picture, like right here, sold me on this. I have to have at least if it's just that figure. I just have to have this figure because this shot is just like awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I just all I tell them is like, go tell the Four Horsemen that. They know, but like it's cool.
Trevor sent me.
But I mean, again, I'm not contractually obligated to say this, but I think they're one of the best lines out there, if not the best. In my eye, they're the best. And the company is great, and they're responsible. And like, unlike other companies, if something is delayed, they'll let you know what's happening and what's going on behind the scenes and stuff. And they're just very transparent. The customizing community behind it is insane. There's people making livings off of this stuff, man. It's crazy. And it's just a fun line, and it's a great community to be involved in. So I would recommend trying one out. First one's, well, it's not free, but it's like, it's close to free.
The
rest of them, you're on your own.
And Trevor did some math. Should you pre-order or should you wait? You should definitely pre-order if you're interested at all, because you're going to get that best price. So I thought it was cool that you did that kind of breakdown. It's something that I think you and Bill from the Dork Lair do an amazing job of just thinking about other ideas. What are some other things I can do with Legion? Just some other topics I could focus on. So I love that you guys bring.
Bill is a great detective and a great, like, he does those things about what you should order, when you should order.
Yeah.
What does he think is going to be the sleepers of the wave and things like that. You know what I mean? Like if you're, I don't condone speculating on stuff. God knows, because you're going to end up like me with a room full of crap that you got to get rid of. But I mean, there's things like the 2-packs that they sell only on Store Horseman during the pre-sale, and you can't get them as a retail anymore. And if you just buy one and you want to fund a bunch of other figures, 6 months down the line after they come out, you're going to get some money for that thing. You know what I mean? You're going to make a little money, and it's going to be easy to sell those, unlike Galactus. Okay. It's just an easier thing to sell. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, he's great at that. And the Dork Lair is awesome, man. You got to go definitely subscribe to the Dork Lair as well.
Yeah, you, Bill, and Nate, Corona 4 just do an amazing job with that show. I'm fans of all your guys' work. And you're one of those guys, Trevor, I feel like this show could go on for hours. But unfortunately, we do have to eventually come to an end here. So we're going to end it with the Dirty Dozen. I think Prime's got an updated version of the Dirty Dozen. So we're going to play that. But yeah, if you guys want to support Trevor, if you're not following him, go to subscribe to his YouTube, 16 Shooter on YouTube. Follow him on his Instagram. He's got an Etsy store. You can find that, like I talked about, on his link tree. He's got an Etsy store link. Go purchase the calendars. He sells T-shirts for Legion's Lounge, and he also sells prints. Right? Anything else you sell on there that I'm not remembering?
Not at the moment. No, there's probably going to be some more stuff down the line. But yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Yeah,
let's see the Dirty Dozen.
Go show some support. Let's do it.
I'm going to try to set this up on multiple screens here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Now, I had to do some edits here. We'll see. See if this works.
New and improved Dirty Dozen.
New and improved. Yeah. All right.
Suspense is killing me.
We'll cut this all out.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Speaking of editing, that's not something. I mean, I do edit, but I try to limit it as much as possible, just to keep it as natural as I can. You know, obviously, if somebody coughs into the mic or something like that, but for the most part, I try not to.
Right. There it is.
Dirty Dozen.
Why did I never realize that was a whiteboard? I don't know why I never realized that.
We're gonna do the Dirty Dozen. If you guys know how. And this is gonna be the Mythic Legion edition.
Jeez.
Oh,
making it easy on me, or maybe hard. I don't know. Okay.
So you're going to be presented with two different names, and then you tell us which one is the Mythic Legion. Because you are the expert.
This is
you're the know-it-all for Mythic Legions. All right, we're gonna start off.
I don't even try to pronounce names on the show.
Here we go.
Yeah,
I'll pronounce them too.
Well, you're gonna have to help me pronounce some of these names. Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, so, all right, here we go. First one, is it Magnus or Magnum? Which one is the Mythic Legion?
It is Magnus with the magnificent mustache and beard.
Let's see. You are correct. It was Magnus. 1,000 points. All right.
I don't have Magnus's head, but I do have his body here.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. So we got Pelvicus, or Malfor. Which one's the Mythic Legion?
Pelvicus.
Okay, let's see. What did the judges say? Yep, you are correct. Once again.
We got Pelvicus right here.
Etheron or Dagger?
I have to say you've done a good job with these fake names, but it is Etheron. I do like Dagger, though. You're probably getting another R.
Killing it. You're on a hot streak.
If you had an extra R on the Dagger, then
it
might have thrown me off a little bit. Yeah. They tend to do that.
Hopefully, some of these will stump you. Hopefully. All right. Thurer or Hagnon?
I think that's Thurer. It is
Thurer.
Hagnon, the only glow in the dark figure so far.
So
man, you are
about
on fire.
Hagnon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know in Necronominus they have an undead builder who, for me, gets very strong Hagnon vibes. Is he at all related to Hagnon, or is it just kind of like a tribute sort of thing?
Yeah, it's not supposed to be, but that head is the one with the open mouth is very close to that. So I think you could definitely sub it out on a Hagnon and make it work. It's going to be a slightly different color, and I don't know that it's going to glow. They're hoping to make it glow, but it's not a guarantee. So, but yeah, it is related. I mean, not directly related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's the blue glow Hagnon, and there's like a green glow, and I don't know which one's more valuable, but I don't know if I'm saying
the blue one doesn't exist, except that there's only one in the Four Horseman Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there is one that glows half and half. So because they actually told the factory that they wanted half to be green and half to be blue, and then they sent them one, and they misunderstood it. It got misinterpreted, and they sent them one that was literally half green on this side and half blue on that side. And then they decided that the cost was too much, so they just went with green.
Kind of cool
with everything. So,
yeah, that's awesome. That's funny.
That's valuable.
All right, next.
Yeah, I would imagine that's up there.
Yeah, for sure.
You can take a stab at these.
Well, see, now you've got two consonants in a row, so that's good. Krotos and Yggdrasil. Which is Yggdrasil? Yeah. Is that something? Because it's Krotos is the Mythic Legion, but Yggdrasil looks like a Dungeons and Dragons character, or the Witcher.
It was some type of Norse god. It was like a Norse god.
Oh, cool.
Of something.
Nice. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So yeah, Krotos. On fire. You are on fire.
He's the man right there.
I don't think he's gonna fail any of these.
Oh, all right. We'll see. We are not done yet. So we'll see. All right.
Prime's holding Here we go.
Ooh.
Bragi.
So we got
it is Lucretia, the daughter of Baron Voligar, who is the daughter of Alithia.
That one stumped me.
Yep.
I didn't know who it was. Lucretia.
Yep.
Damn. That's good. Yeah. It was one of my exes from high school, so she's kind of crazy. All right.
Wow, you're okay.
This
is just half of that other name. Really. Like, what is that? Eeg?
Eeg.
Yep.
Eeg. And Bilam. It is Bilam who is the
it is
tiger.
Yep. I love Bilam's armor.
Yeah, I was getting stumped of trying to make up stuff.
It's hard.
I had to go look up a bunch of Norse collection. I had to like Wikipedia. I had all these different sites.
Yeah, Bilam's one of the ones I was hoping I would see at Legions Con on the. They said, "Oh, we're just going to put some random ones on the."
Yeah,
I did see Purplore, so I got Purplore. I was very happy about that.
Okay.
But unfortunately, did not see Bilam.
Bilam is a tough one. That's a every once in a while I've seen that out there in the wild, but yeah, it's a little more rare.
He's got really unique armor.
Yeah,
or
it's very cool.
Or Khalid.
It's Kalazir.
Kalazir
is the genie that's coming out in the Poxus wave.
You can get out of here.
Yeah, it's Khalid. Here I was all ready to trash like Mezco and Super 7, and this is what you're giving me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I
love
change
Super
it up for
7.
you.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I like this because I mean,
like
Ford
that?
Ironjaw is the correct answer, but there could be a Lady Ironjaw. I mean, why not? Right?
Yeah, that's from a different movie.
Is it really Lady Ironjaw? Or you're just making
no?
Okay,
she goes by that name. She's like a woman of the streets.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. Yeah, wow.
All right. Yeah. Kind of like Trapjaw.
This is
Pixis or Sirius.
This is named after Pixel Dan. Actually, is Pixis.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Tribute to Pixel Dan. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
And he's blue, right? He's got blue armor.
He has the blue armor. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Just picked him up like last year. Yeah. Hard one to find. Pixis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've not seen him in person.
All right. Next one.
Suxip is
the last one. We got the last one. Colonel Domesticus or Lieutenant Animalus.
I'm gonna go with Sergeant Primus is the correct answer. Actually, neither one of these are. Actually, I'm gonna go with one? Private Nard. No. Private Nard is the correct answer.
Right there, you go.
Which we has to be one. Which one?
I'm gonna go with neither.
Really?
Okay. But Lieutenant Animaleus could be Domesticus.
Yeah, if it's anything, it's Lieutenant Animaleus. But I agree with Trevor. These names don't ring a bell for me.
Unless you're talking about the birds. If you've included the birds, there was a Domesticus, right? It wasn't Colonel.
Yes. Yeah, it was Colonel. Mm-hmm.
Now I have to look.
I did my research. Yeah, all Colonel Domesticus.
You're talking to Mr. Legions here.
I know that there were the army of Etheron had the birds, and I don't have the birds. See, I don't. Well, the birds are fringe if they're Mythic Legions or not, but they are sort of, I guess. So Domesticus was a bird.
Hey,
I didn't know he was Colonel.
It was Colonel Domesticus.
All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
That does check out. Right. We'll show it here in a second.
And
I don't collect the birds, so you got me on the birds.
You would have got a toaster, but you missed one.
Really
you had to get all
toaster,
correct.
I just made toast it like an hour ago, and it sucked, man. So that would have been great. Fuck. Damn it. All right.
Well, thanks for entertaining us there, Trevor. But just to verify, there is a Colonel Domesticus.
Colonel Domesticus. Okay.
Didn't ring any bells with me either.
Come on.
He's the cock of the walk.
Yeah. Had to end with the.
I don't collect the birds, nor do I feel that they're part of Four Horsemen, though they technically are Mythic Legions. Yeah, I just don't collect them. So yeah, right. You got me.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that because I don't
Awesome.
have any of them either, obviously, because I'm a little bit newer. But I visited Von Burke's table and I saw his Khonshu head.
Oh, isn't that great? I love that.
Yeah, for Necronominus, because he has that touch where he can touch people. Maybe this is a turned bird,
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah,
That's
like
very
a
cool.
whole skeleton bird would be cool. You could make that probably. You know what I mean? Like
with
one of those humans turned into a bird.
Yeah.
Or with the birds that have the human bodies. Yeah, that would be cool.
Right, because you have the bird like skeleton wings too that they make.
Yep.
So yeah, it was cool
for sure. Very cool.
Well, I stumped Trevor. That's it. My day.
Damn
has
it!
been made.
Dang, I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
Yeah, me
I'm gonna cut that out.
Man,
right?
I was stressing.
That's how we're gonna sell the episode. We stumped Trevor.
You know what threw me off
Tune
was
in.
the Colonel. I didn't know it was a Colonel.
Yes.
I gotta be honest. I didn't know he had a rank.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, neither did I. Stumped us both. That was a good one. Prime.
Yeah,
that was good. That was good, and he saved it for last too.
Yep, saved it for last.
Right.
Very good. Very nice.
Well, Trevor, this was a blast. You're such an easy guy to talk to. You make the interview a lot of fun, and obviously we're huge fans of your work. So just big thanks to you for being here and being our guest. Hopefully everybody out there enjoyed it too. And like I talked about, if you want to get more of Trevor's content, or if you're interested in Legions, the Legions Lounge is a great place to get some education and learn a little bit more about the community. So make sure to subscribe to him on YouTube. Make sure to follow him on Instagram. Check out his link tree. Go to his Etsy store. You can go to his website to see more of his photos in high res. And check out his Amazon products page if you're interested in some toy photography gear. But yeah, huge thanks to you, Trevor. Before we let you go, any plugs or anything that you want to promote?
No, yeah, check out the channel. We also have the 1/6 pack. It's usually every other Friday. We talk about 1/6 stuff. So if you're into that and you're not into Legions, go check that out.
Nice.
Other than that, I just want to say thank you guys for having me on. Damn you, Prime, for stumping me, but thank you for having me on. I love the show. I tune in on Mondays when I'm not doing a show, and maybe you could think about Wednesday because Motivation Wednesday kind of works out too. That's pretty good.
Happy hump day.
You're before me, so I get to watch some of the show. But I love the show. I love what you guys are doing, and I really appreciate being on here. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Trevor. It means a lot.
Let's send him to the green room. Get him out of here.
Yeah, give him some more M&Ms.
Yeah.
See you later, Trevor.
I stumped him. That's it. That's best show ever. This is We're ending the year on a good note.
That's going to live in infamy now. Prime's going to remind us of that all the time. He'll see him in the chat and be like, remember when I stumped you that one time, Trevor?
You know what? I'm going to get a shirt just say Colonel Domesticus and then have a big rooster on the back. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn that into a shirt now. Be like, who's the big rooster now? Or something.
We got to find you one of those now. We got to find you that figure, which might be impossible, actually. But
man.
Yeah, that was a great interview.
Yeah, it was a blast. And it was just so fun because I wanted to take a different spin on that. And I jumped on the Four Horsemen. I was reading all the bios. Again, that's like his that whole roads to Legion Con and just, again, doing such a great job of exposing the community to so much knowledge and really making it an inclusive environment. Like, I don't know jack crap about Legions, but the pictures are awesome. You're always talking about them. And this last wave that they're doing, I'm like, man, you know what? I think 2023 is going to be all Legions for me. So we'll see how it goes. So it was fun. It was fun putting that together for him.
So happy to hear that, and definitely jump on that pre-order. Yeah, you're going to regret it if you don't. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that too. As you're listening to the episode, make sure you hit that like button, right? It means a lot for us. It's a small gesture. Takes you a little bit of effort. It goes a long way. So please hit the like button. Leave a comment below. What's something that resonated to you in the episode?
Yeah.
What's maybe your thoughts on Legions? Just let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the Figure Booth on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live. You can self-identify as a Prime Private or Nate's Nard. We'll have the battle on the stream. Big thanks to all you guys for the support. And we will see you
where
next
can
time.
they catch you? Where can they follow you? Where can they keep up with you? Let's not let them on that. That's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, right. You guys can follow me at figurefan_Nate on Instagram, Vero, and Facebook.
Nice. And you guys can keep up with me all under Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, all under Prime to the First. I'm working on putting up some behind the scenes on TikTok. It's a work in progress. But as always, I've been Prime to the First. This guy right here has been FigureFan_Nate. It's been a blast. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody.